ENCA reporter Slindelo Masakani is covering that story for us. Slee, good morning to you. So what is expected to emerge from this application today?
So basically, Jeremy, the Labour Court here this morning will rule on an application by the PSA, which represents some of the workers that operate from the Civitas building, which houses the National Health Department headquarters. Now, since April, workers at Civitas have been complaining about the working conditions, saying that they're working in unsafe conditions and that the building is basically inhabitable. Now, the Health Department has been disputing this, and they in turn had filed an application for a court interdict to compel workers to work and refrain from these on and off stayaways that have been taking place since April. Now, in turn, the PSA then launched its own application for the courts to declare that workers are not obligated basically to work in unsafe conditions, and that is basically hinders on their constitutional rights. Now, the Health Department has in turn also said that most of the issues that were raised by the unions were attended to, and that in fact the condition of the building is really not that bad. So we expect the court today to then declare whether the fact that workers are staying away from work is either a strike or not.
What exactly are staff concerned about in that respect? We talk about the building being 21% compliant. What are the conditions like inside? Have we established that?
Well, at this stage, Jeremy, we don't know the percentage of compliance at this stage, but we do know that a previous report by the National Occupational Health and Safety Association found that the building was not compliant with the National Occupational Health and Safety Act. So in 2016, that was what we found from that report, and then two more reports also found that the building was non-compliant. Now, the 21%, that was from the Bank of Lisbon building, which housed the Gauteng Health Department. This is the National Health Department headquarters, which are in Pretoria. And the workers have been for a while now complaining about the fact that they are suffering from sinus issues. They can't breathe in the building. And one of those reports that I'm referring to actually found that there was no ventilation in that building. Now, we had been in that building last week at a stay away from the workers. They had gathered on the ground floor of the building, and we happened to go inside the building just to see the conditions of the building. The building is fairly new, and from the outside it looks very beautiful, but when you go inside you find that there actually are no windows inside this building, and they rely to get air. The workers are actually relying on some kind of a system, an aircon system that provides air into the building. So many of the workers are complaining that they are getting sick a lot, and one complainant in fact said that she had exhausted her medical aid due to always having to go and refill her asthma pump.
And presumably as a result of the conditions that you're outlining to us, this has got to have an impact on their productivity.
Certainly, Jeremy. I mean, I think following that fire at the Bank of Lisbon, we've seen how public servants have for a while now saying that their working conditions in these government buildings are not conducive. It's not a conducive working environment. They consistently find themselves getting sick. In fact, many of them also saying that their colleagues are dying in these buildings, and government seemingly just doesn't care and is making them work in these conditions which are actually affecting their health. And they're saying that this is against their constitutional rights, and the fact that they choose to stay away from these buildings, that is not a strike. It is a right that they are fighting for, and the Health Department should not be compelling them to work in such an environment. And of course, following that fire at the Bank of Lisbon building, we now know that at least 9 buildings here that are owned by the Gauteng Provincial Department are non-compliant, and they've also had to be evacuated, and those evacuations took place last week.
All right, we await that decision then from the Labour Court. Slee, thank you very much. Now,